It was easy to pick on Benning's moves. Signing Eriksson to that big $6 million contract, yeah, there were a lot of really bad $6 million contracts given out that year. But what Benning has done is changed the culture of the team, kept the Canucks a winning team, even though they were losing all this time. Now, take a look at the Buffalo Sabres. They tanked. They wanted to build their team up. They had Ryan O'Reilly. They tanked hard. They ended up with Jack Eichel instead of Connor McDavid, and they thought, we're set. We got Jack Eichel as our number one, maybe number two. Ryan O'Reilly as a great hard-nosed number two or number one while he's the older one. And what happened? Well, Buffalo was a bunch of losers. Ryan O'Reilly said, I don't want to play hockey anymore. I hate hockey. And he left. And now Buffalo are still a bunch of losers. St. Louis won a cup. Ryan O'Reilly won a Conn Smythe, Selke, and a cup. Now, the Canucks were losing. They were terrible these last few years before Pettersson came around. But they still had this idea of we're going to bring in veteran guys and we're going to try to maintain a winning culture. Now, where that's really taken off, two guys in particular, JT Miller and Tanner Pearson. Miller we saw in Game 5 with the Canucks where they're down 3-1 and he just murdered that puck in. That was dominant. That was terrifying to see the look of determination on this guy's face. He's the heart and soul of the Canucks. And he is a utility guy. He can play with Pettersson. He can play with Horvat. He can take draws. He can kill penalties. You can put him anywhere. The guy's amazing. He's not making a lot of money. And now that the Canucks have made the playoffs, you're only going to give up, what? A mid-round, first-round pick? Whatever. You'll give that up for what Miller has done. And you got to give Benning credit. I mean, the guy's already been traded twice. And he saw something in him. So Benning wins there. Now with Pearson, oh my God, the good Branson idea, that was terrible. He wanted to bring in another tough guy. He wanted to build that culture. Who doesn't want a big, tough guy? Was he on the right-hand side? With that grit, that's the kind of guy you think you're going to need in the playoffs. That's the kind of guy that can stand up to the Perrons and the Ryan O'Reillys, the Shens of St. Louis Blues. But he didn't work out. He was just awful. The game had moved on past him. Maybe he'd be better in the playoffs, but every time I saw him on the Canucks, I wasn't a fan. But you're stuck with this bad contract. How Benning somehow trades the contract of Good Branson, who I thought we're going to have to trade Good Branson and a draft pick or a prospect to get rid of this guy. No, he brings in Pearson. Now, Pearson has never had NHL All-Star numbers. The guy's never hit 30. And the only time he had, I think, a big goal total in the 20s, he had less assists than goals, which to me is always a bit of a red flag. But this guy, in the playoffs, the guy has hands. The guy can score important goals. The guy doesn't get pushed off the puck. The guy doesn't seem to have an ego. He can hit people. He can take hits. He can move the puck. He has poise. He can score when you need him to score on the power play. He's everything you want, and he doesn't cost very much at all. He's exactly the kind of utility offensive player that's going to score those big goals that you need to be effective, to be cost efficient in the playoffs, and I just love him. You put that alongside drafting Besser, Pettersson, Hughes, Josh Levo, Tyler Mott. Say what you want. Benning has changed the culture in Vancouver. It's been a slow/fast process depending on how you look at rebuilds, but Benning has come up with a team that thinks it can win, that is pretty full of guys that have leadership, that want to win. A guy like JT Miller that forces his team to make a comeback. And that's Benning. Unless every great move is the responsibility of Judd Brackett, who now works for Minnesota. I don't know.